Hey guitar fam and friends, how's it going? This is kind of a spur of the moment video. I was just thinking about this earlier today. I was going over a song for my wife that she's doing. It's a Christmas single that she's putting out, and I ended up playing this little part. And what's happening here is I'm just kind of doing a walk down, but I have a transition, a big transition from an open chord to a bar chord, and that can kind of trip a lot of people up and be a really big bottleneck for a lot of players that are trying to get to that intermediate level of playing. So I figured I'd give you just a few tips on how to transition from open chords to bar chords and vice versa. Because this is something like if I don't play a lot of acoustic for a while, like I haven't played much acoustic at all until I started doing this song for Chelsea, my hand is kind of out of acoustic shape, as it were, you know. So just getting my hand back in shape to the acoustic guitar that requires a little more force and exertion is the first thing that I had to do. So if you haven't played acoustic guitar a lot and that's what you're playing on, just give yourself a few days to get back into it. The second tip is to make sure you know the individual open chords on their own first, and you can go right to them. If you can't do that, you're gonna have a really hard time transitioning between the bar chords and open chords. But if you put in time and make sure, like this first chord that I'm playing is kind of a D, and my pinky reaches out to grab, actually what would be a D flat or a C sharp right there. So kind of a weird chord, but it could be just a regular D chord that you're using. But if you can't go to that D right away, it's gonna be very tough to go from like a D to a B minor 7, which is this change. So can you go to that individual D on its own first right away? And can you go to this B minor 7 right away on its own as well? If you can't do that, you need to spend some time just drilling those individual chords. And here's the next tip, is do this multiple times a day. If you can, do it once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening, or just once in the morning and once in the evening, you know, whatever is available for you with your schedule. So go over that D chord in the morning for just a couple minutes, and then go over that B minor chord just for a couple minutes in the morning and the evening. And if you can't do that yet, and if you need some help with your bar chords, go to guitarfam.com, and the first module of the bar chord masterclass is free for everyone to go through if you have a complimentary account. So it's really worth checking out to help get your bar chords in shape. But before you even start trying to switch between open chords and bar chords, make sure you have those shapes down on their own, particularly the bar chord, so we can go to it on its own. And if you are having trouble with that, here's another tip. Try to make the chord in the air and get some finger independence. Get those fingers where they need to be before your fingers even touch the strings to make the chord. So as you come to the strings, your fingers should already go as slow as you need to and get those fingers in place so you can start building that muscle memory, control, and independence you need to land that chord on its own by itself. Because if you can't go to that B minor 7 chord or whatever chord is your bottleneck, then the change is just going to be prohibitively hard. So spend some time on that. And then the next tip I have is to just isolate the chord change. So if I was playing the progression is something like that, but if I'm having trouble with that D to B minor 7, playing it in the context of that whole chord progression is going to make it even more difficult. So just isolate the chord change that's giving you trouble. So, and just sit there for a few minutes, and you can only do this for a few minutes because your hand's gonna get tired, right? Especially with a bar chord. But just once you've gotten individual chords down, really isolate it. Next tip is to think about what that next chord looks like before moving to it and get it in your mind. Think about what it looks like and feels like and kind of anticipate it without rushing. And then nail it. Okay, the next tip, and this will help with the physical action of actually changing chords, is when I do this, it's almost like I spring load my hand a little bit. My hand even anticipates, right? Especially when you have a fast chord change like this. My hand wasn't tense, but it was ready, right? It was Johnny on the spot, and I was aware of what chord was coming next. So those are just a few tips that will help you change from bar chords to open chords or vice versa. And I guess the final tip for this would be really consistent with your practice. It takes a while to get stuff like this down, and the more consistent you are with it, even if it's only 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, that will help a lot over a couple weeks or a couple months. And once you get this down, it's going to be great because it will enable you to play all of those songs that you've been wanting to play that have bar chords in them. Okay, that's it for this video. I figured I'd just do some quick tips because I know a lot of students out there are struggling with this type of thing. And if you put in the effort, it will get a lot better. If you haven't already, go to guitarfam.com, create your complimentary account, and start going through the first module of all of our premium courses, like the bar chord masterclass, the strumming doctor, and the free courses too, like Guitar Foundations will really help you with your open chords too. I'll see you later. Thanks.